Okay, so then now that I have the car off the ground, the first thing I want to do is drain the fluids, basically all the fluids. To get easier access to those, I'm just going to remove the dust covers to both sides of the car. It requires a 10mm socket, and I'll just start removing those. I'll show you where all the locations are. So unscrew them. On the driver's side, we have one bolt right in there, one up in here, one down here, 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 and here. Those will get the driver's side dust cover off. And then on the other side, passenger side, we start from one bolt here, there's one there, here, back up here, and in the back there is one right in there, and move a little farther back to get that one in there. All these are 10mm, so I'm going to quickly get them all off to get easier access so I can drain all the fluids easier. Okay, so now they got the dust covers off. What I would recommend is, if you're like me and you can't remember where the bolts go, is to just put them back. I lightly hand tightened all the bolts back to where they went, just so I don't lose them, because I'm probably going to forget where they went by the time I'm done with this. So put them all back in. So under the car, here's what we have. I put an aftermarket radiator in because mine sort of broke on this car, but the drain valve is right here. So this is where you're going to drain it out, the coolant out. To drain the block, you have your drain bolt up in there. If you look at right there, there's a bolt sticking out right in there. That is the drain bolt, and it's in a really weird spot. I'm pretty sure you understand. It's right above, there's a freeze plug, and right below it there's a bolt. That's the drain bolt for the coolant that's in the engine. So I'm gonna do is get my catch stuff ready and start off by draining the radiator first. Okay, so I got my socket on, that one bolt I was telling you for the engine drain, to drain the coolant out of the engine. That bolt is a 17mm, which is kind of weird because I'll show you here in a second. I'm gonna quickly break it loose, take it off, and start draining the coolant out of the engine block, and I'll show you why. It's kind of weird that they used a bolt in that spot. Okay, here's why it's weird, because if you look on the engine that I'm putting in, it has one of these weird valve things. You unscrew this, and the coolant just starts flowing out of this. There's just a little, like, I don't know, this is probably like 10 mil, maybe 12. You unscrew this, and the coolant will just start coming out through this little valve opening in here. But this is the bolt that I pulled out. I actually looked at another engine. It actually also has a bolt, so maybe that's just an aftermarket thing they attached. But this one was a 17 mil. Unscrew it, and the coolant was drained. I'm going to put this back in place, and then I'm going to just start and take some of the little stuff off. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is drain the oil. This bolt right here is 14mm. The downside is the bolt is in the front of the car. The car is jacked up, so I'm not going to be able to get all the engine oil, but I'll get most of it. So I'm just going to start, without lowering the car, I'm just going to drain it from here. And while that's draining, I will probably start removing some of the other stuff that I can remove, or probably do some other stuff. So right now what I'm going to do is just start draining the engine oil. So I thought I'd quickly show you. This is the drain bolt. It's got some shards of metal on it. I put a magnet on it here, so that's the only reason the metal stuck to it. But I have to say there are some big chunks of metal on it. To help the draining process, I'm going to quickly open up the oil fill, make it go a little faster. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is drain the gear oil. On the transmission driver's side, if you go down a little bit, you have this really, really huge bolt right here. I think it's about a 24. I have a 24-inch socket right here, and it's pretty snug on there. So I'm going to go with the 24. Got my bucket right here to catch it. I'm going to quickly drain the gear oil, and then we'll go from there.